Hi, my name's Annette, Sunbeam Fabric Art. I have a problem and I'm going to show you what it is. Hold on one second. This is my problem. I have a drawer for scraps and it's bursting. It's so full. I sew in a very small space. Sometime I'll do a tour of that space, but just know it's not a lot of room. So this is all the space I have that I allow myself to have for scraps. So I need to think on what I am going to do with these scraps. I've got a couple of ideas and we'll just see where we get. So these scraps are very, very alarming. I just can't make anything else until I clean out some of these scraps. It's just crazy. I had a video just a few days ago where I made some quick and easy crazy quilt blocks. I think I'm going to, since I've got so many scraps to use up, I think I'm going to use the whole 8.5 by 11 inch sheet to make bigger blocks. So there'll be a rectangle block instead of a square block. I don't know how that'll turn out. I'm not too worried about it. We'll just see what happens, see what kind of fun blocks I can make on 8.5 by 11 inch sheets of newsprint paper. So let's go. My drawer is now empty. I pulled everything out of this drawer of scraps and I'll close that drawer. I've got a pile of dark fabric. I've got a pile of medium tone fabric. And I've got a pile of light toned fabric. So just light, medium, and dark. I think what I'm going to do is take my 8.5 by 11 inch pieces of newsprint and I am just going to sew on a piece and alternate light, medium, and dark and just try and fit them on as best I can. I'm not going to worry about any set pattern or crazy block pattern or making them all even or anything. I'm just going to use that as a background and sew strips and scraps on as best I can to make them fit. Probably the larger pieces first and then the smaller pieces around the outside edge. But this will be an interesting journey, so come along and let's see what happens. This is a very cute little circle. The peaches circle and this Baltimore Oriole with blackberry circle, those were on the top of some lids of jelly jars I got at a farm tour. I want to center these peaches and these the blackberry with the Baltimore Oriole on these blocks. So what I'm going to do is do small strips around the outside of the circle. And it'll probably take, I would say it'll probably take about 8 or 9 strips to get all the way around the outside of this, this size of a circle. And you get the idea. I'm just going to go, so straight seam, then a straight seam, then a straight seam, almost like maybe a log cabin block where you just sew sides and go work your way around the inside to just keep adding pieces and make it to the outside of this 8.5 by 11 piece of newsprint. And this last one that I have finished, I have this fabric in my stash and I liked it. I added a little half square triangle up there, a little 4 patch there, and just stitched away. I wanted to tell you about this little block in progress. I thought I would do a little zigzag stitch on here. So the first thing I did was I sewed these strips across. Then I sewed this purple strip on this side. Then I made a fold over so I'd have a finished edge. Then I sewed these sheets down, and the last thing I did was sew this other side down. If you're going to do a decorative stitch like this on this newsprint paper, make sure and tear off the back paper first. I didn't remember this until I did the second spot. It's really hard if you're not doing the 1.8 stitch length. The zigzag stitch does not want to tear off very easily, so I'm going to have to get tweezers out and mess with this to get all this paper off. Whereas by waiting till the paper is off already, my zigzag stitch is fine. I'm good to go. So just a little tip there if you're going to use this newsprint paper. Okay, I stitched this blue strip down. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fold this over and press it. So when I press this open, it's going to have a finished edge. And I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, I came right back. I folded this little rough edge down, just about 1/4 inch. Then I folded over and I pressed that down flat, but I'm not stitching this down yet. What I am going to do is draw a little line here. It doesn't have to be straight, just to give me an idea of where this blue fabric is going to come over to. So then what I'm going to do, kind of like I did these, I'm just going to sew some strips across here and make sure that this orange line is covered up. So they're going to have to go almost to this, but not quite. And then when I fold this down and stitch it down, it's going to make a nice little finished edge. So I'm going to do some strips across here, and then I'll be right back. So I did finish sewing down some more strips and scraps on this lower edge, and as you can see, when I fold this over, that is going to cover that raw edge. I'm not going to stitch that down yet because I'm going to use a zigzag stitch here and on this one, just 2 zigzag stitches stitching this across, and I'm going to wait till all this paper is off before I do that zigzag stitch. And I'll be right back. I just need to finish up this part right here. Then I'm going to tear off the paper and go ahead and do that zigzag stitch. Alright, I finished the bottom of the block. I just put one big scrap. Then I took off the paper and stitched these 2 sides together with this zigzag stitch. So I thought that was cute, and I just want to give you some ideas of things you can do. You don't have to just sew to the paper. You can then remove the paper and do interesting things on top of the fabric too, like some decorative stitches, maybe embroider something. If I had an embroiderer, I would do like birds or something, bluebirds. So yeah, just giving you some ideas. I have also been known to sew lace on blocks like this before. For example, here is some lace that I've already test washed and dried it. Always do that before you put anything on some quilt blocks, but at some point I will have a fancy block and I will attach this pretty lace to it and tack it down all the way around. It'll be a little tricky with these little raindrops coming down, but it's fun to just get crazy, you know, use some rickrack, use some decorative trim, have some fun, just whatever your heart desires. So I did clear out a lot of scraps today. Not as many as I would have liked, but I did not spend the entire day in my sewing room. I think I spent maybe 4 hours. It's a Sunday, so I did get out and go for a walk and do some other things, but I spent about 4 hours on these blocks. So I got quite a few done. I'm gonna say I got about 40% of my scrap drawer cleaned out. Have another about 60% of my scrap drawer to go. So I'm going to work on that over the next week and see how many of these blocks I can get done. Once I have my scrap drawer almost empty, then I'll feel good about starting something new. I have a lot of ideas for new things I want to do, but I really feel strongly about getting this scrap drawer empty before I create. Every project creates new scraps, so I really want to get it empty before I start something new. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and subscribe if you want to. My name's Annette with Sunbeam Fabric Art, and I hope you have a great day, and I see you again soon.